More attention, please.
So let's move on to the next story. Here's Harry Potter in the Chamber of Secrets.
Wait till you see. It's awful.
So at the end of the last story, Hagrid told Harry that if Dudley gives him any shit, that he should threaten to give him ears to go with the tail that he gave him. And apparently this worked, because Dudley gave up his second bedroom to Harry. And since the family's having company, he's supposed to stay in there and be quiet, even though Vernon was complaining about Hedwig making too much noise, but also won't allow Harry to let her out. But when he goes up there, he finds an elf jumping on his bed.
Oh look, Potter, you've got yourself a girlfriend.
His name is Dobby, and he gets super emotional because Harry's nice to him. But when he almost says something bad about the family that owns him, he has to punish himself by bashing his head on all of Harry's furniture. Harry begs him to stop, but this slave, who's worried about getting in trouble, won't listen, and continues to make a bunch of noise in a house full of muggles.
You could have been seen!
But when he finally stops, Dobby tells him that he's in danger and shouldn't go back to Hogwarts.
He sounds like a dirty, rotten snitch to me.
But Harry wants to go anyway, so Dobby drops a cake on this lady that apparently wasn't fully cooked.
You just ruined the punchline of my Japanese golfer joke.
So now that Vernon is fully sick of his shit, he barricades him in his room and refuses to let him leave.
You would think he would want him to go to school.
Yeah, and now he can just stay home and fuck with him with magic year-round. Because, I mean, what are they going to do? Expel him from the school he can't go to?
I'll tell ya!
So that night, a flying car pulls up to his window, and the Weasleys use a hook to get the bars off the window because they'd get in trouble if they used magic outside of Hogwarts. But they can use a flying car, and nobody gives a shit.
Once their acne's cleared up, we'll be able to chop them up and stew them.
So they take Harry to their house, and it totally does not look like a witch lives there.
What's the matter? You don't like my house? My house stink? That's right, it stinks!
Do you live here?
Once he's inside, Ginny Weasley comes downstairs and totally plays it cool about her having a crush on Harry. But come to think about it, Arthur Weasley may have a crush on him too.
Good lord.
What about my sister?
Then the mail comes via secondhand owl, and it turns out that Dumbledore knows where Harry is, but apparently not how he got there.
Doesn't miss a trick, that man.
But before they go back to school, they've got a list of school supplies that they need to pick up. So they head to Diagon Alley through the fireplace. Ron goes first, and apparently nobody notices that Harry's a little hesitant about setting himself on fire.
He just caught fire.
Oh, and about time too. He's been looking dreadful for days.
But since Harry's nervous, he mispronounces Diagon Alley and ends up in a head shop. And even though everybody else knows where he went, nobody follows him. And when he goes outside, he gets attacked by some crackhead wizards. But luckily is immediately saved by Hagrid.
No, not you.
He takes Harry to the bookstore where he meets up with Hermione. She fixes his glasses and then tells him that everybody was so worried that they decided to go shopping instead of looking for him.
You could have died!
The bookstore's having a signing by this famous wizard, Gilderoy Lockhart. And Draco gets really jealous that he pays his attention to Harry and not him, and has his dad scare him. He then touches him inappropriately, and then tells Hermione that Draco talks about him at home, totally killing his 12-year-old game.
He's always doing that.
The next day, they go to the train station, where everybody but Ron and Harry make it through the portal. But of course, no muggles see this. But when the boys try to do it, they bounce right out the wall, and everybody sees it.
They're an embarrassment to the wizarding world.
Now they know they need to get to the train, so instead of seeing if Ron's parents come back to look for him, they decide to steal the flying car in broad daylight and take that to Hogwarts. Now they do put the invisibility cloak on, but it's a little too late.
Don't you think I'll get caught?
Now they do catch up with the train, which seemed really important at the time, but then they just ditch it and go park in a tree.
We can't park that shuttle here.
And the tree does not seem to like this. And the car doesn't either. Then the car runs away, and they get in trouble because people saw the car flying.
How many?
7. I guess British people aren't very observant.
That's a lie.
Snape's also really upset about the alive dead tree, and Ron's upset that he broke his wand.
Look at my wand!
McGonagall wants to write their parents, but I'm pretty sure the Dursleys don't give a shit, and I think the Weasleys notice that their car's gone.
That was very wrong indeed, boys. Very wrong of you.
And you will both receive detention.
So in herbology class, they have to take this mandrake plant out of one pot and put it in another. But it makes a really loud screaming sound, so they cover their ears with earmuffs.
Not earplugs?
No. Now you'd think that they'd use noise-canceling headphones or a silencing spell, but no. They use those furry things that barely keep your ears warm in the winter.
That is so unfair. And we were gonna make you king of the winter carnival.
At dinner, Ron's owl dies in the potato chips, and his mom finds a way to yell at him in front of all of his friends about the car.
But if he knew that that letter would yell at him, why would he open it in front of everybody?
Shut up. You answer the phone when your mom calls, don't you?
You're absolutely right.
At Quidditch practice, we see that this kid still hasn't found a dentist yet.
Easy, I've got a note.
Also, Draco's now the seeker for the Slytherin team. Apparently, he bought his way onto the team and took the same position as Harry because he needs to prove that he's better than him.
He did not.
He also calls Hermione a mudblood, so Ron tries to curse Malfoy, but turns the spell on himself because his wand's broken.
Ooh,
This calls for specialist equipment.
Well, Harry didn't know what that meant, so Hermione explains that it's a person born to Muggle parents. But in actuality, it sounds like one parent should be a Muggle and the other should be magic. Kinda missed an opportunity there.
Wait, you're telling me that Hermione found out about magic the same time Harry did?
Yes.
So 2 of the 3 kids who got through the magical test that were supposed to keep out the most evil wizard of all time didn't even know magic existed a year before they did the test.
That is correct.
Hogwarts teachers must not be very smart if they can't come up with better tests. And Dumbledore's an idiot for bringing the stone there in the first place.
Never insult Albus Dumbledore in front of me.
And if Hermione's new to magic, how does she know so much about the wizarding world?
Holy cricket! You're Harry Potter!
She knows more about you than you do.
Honestly, don't you two read?
See, I get her knowing a lot from being a book nerd, but what I don't get is how she knows about rumors from before she was born.
Who's the one wizard Voldemort always feared? Dumbledore.
I shouldn't have said that. I should not have said that.
So they go to Hagrid's, and he tries to cheer her up by saying,
Why, there isn't a wizard alive today that's not half-blood or less.
But they know of 5 families just in this conversation that are pure blood. Both of Draco's parents, both of Ron's, and Harry's dad.
Poor boy doesn't know what he's saying.
In detention, Harry hears a voice, but Lockhart doesn't hear it. So Harry follows it, despite it saying,
I think he's going to kill.
He gives up the search when he bumps into Ron and Hermione, and they see a bunch of spiders running away from a message written in blood on the wall and assume they wrote it.
Oh, don't mind that. It's just the cat.
They also find the janitor's cat hanging from a hook.
They killed the kitty?
No, it's just petrified, but it does make you wonder, whose blood is up on the wall?
I know how weird your mom can get about tampons.
Then all the other students walk in and think that Harry did it. Then the teachers show up and they suspect him too, even though he was with Lockhart. And apparently, nobody thinks it could be Ron and Hermione who left dinner early.
Perhaps Potter and his friends were simply in the wrong place at the wrong time.
The next day, McGonagall tells him how Salazar Slytherin was basically magical Hitler, and that he wanted Hogwarts to be all purebloods. He also hid a monster in the walls that would kill anybody who wasn't worthy. And apparently people have looked for 1,000 years for the entrance to the Chamber of Secrets, but nobody's found it.
Here it is.
So the teachers need to be on high alert for anything that might endanger students. So when one of the bludgers starts going crazy and tries to kill Harry during a Quidditch match, they do nothing. They don't even stop the game when it's tearing up the stadium. In fact, Harry and Malfoy still try to win.
You'll never catch me, Potter!
Salvador Ragdolly, you're under arrest.
You'll never get me, Super Chicken!
But the runaway ball eventually breaks Harry's arm, but because he's the main character, he still catches the golden snitch. And now that I think about it, they might want to consider turning it into something harder for Harry to catch.
No.
He then almost gets his head and balls crushed, but Hermione blows it up before it can hurt him again.
Why didn't any of the teachers try to help him?
I guess they thought that would be cheating, but last year they had a ref, so you'd think that they would be in charge of controlling the ball that's clearly going after one of the players. Anyway, Lockhart comes down and tries to fix Harry's arm, but he does such a bad job that Harry has to stay in the hospital until he can regrow his bones. But while he's there, Dobby visits him and tells him that he's been the one fucking with him, like the platform door and the attempted murder.
Dobby has to protect Harry Potter.
He then tells him horrible things are about to happen, but can't tell him what they are and has to hit himself for almost saying too much. And this time, he didn't have to hit himself when saying something bad about his master. Then, Dumbledore and some other teachers bring in a petrified student and say that the Chamber of Secrets has been opened and a monster's attacking the students.
So they closed the school, right?
No, they just warn the other teachers and carry on as usual. But since it's the kid that annoys everyone taking pictures, they think he might have a picture of the monster. So Dumbledore stupidly opens the camera, exposing the film, but it doesn't matter anyway because it just blows up.
It was an extremely foolish thing to do.
The next day, they start making a transformation potion that will allow them to pretend to be Draco's friends, so they can get him to admit that he opened the chamber. But they're interrupted by a ghost that lives in the toilet.
Show! Let's all throw books at Myrtle because she can't feel it.
They're super worried that more kids will be attacked since the potion takes a month to brew and the teachers aren't doing anything. But the next day, one of the teachers is doing something. Lockhart, who's famous for vanquishing monsters, convinced Dumbledore to let him teach the kids how to duel. So he and Snape face off, and Snape uses a spell that knocks Lockhart on his ass.
Expelliarmus!
He then suggests they teach the kids how to block curses, then has 2 kids that don't like each other demonstrate what they've been taught. And nothing could go wrong there.
Oh dear, we are in trouble.
Then, there's no repercussions for Malfoy going early, or for them using curses they're not allowed to use.
Invictus Emperor!
Malfoy throws a snake at Harry, so he talks to it, while it looks like it wants to bite this kid Justin in the face. His friends are like, dude, you can talk to snakes? And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because apparently, he doesn't remember speaking another language a few minutes ago.
I spoke a different language?
So because he's bilingual, everybody assumes he's the one who opened the chamber.
I'm not.
So his next move is to walk the halls alone to clear his image. And that's when he comes across a petrified ghost and that kid Justin, who everyone assumes he just tried to get a snake to kill. Then the janitor finds him and goes to get McGonagall.
Let's leave him there. Right, on we go.
And while he waits on her, he sees some more spiders running away. She takes him to see Dumbledore, and on the way to his office, Dumbledore's bird sets himself on fire and turns into a chicken.
You don't think it was me, Professor?
I do not think it was you.
So Dumbledore asks him if he knows anything, and he doesn't tell him about the voices or the spiders.
Then why did he go up there?
Pretty much just to find out that his bird Fox has healing tears.
Exactly.
Well, now it's Christmas, so naturally, they poison some cupcakes for some calorie-positive students to eat. They plan on turning into them so they can infiltrate the Slytherin Hall and talk to Malfoy. But when they get to the door, they don't know how to get in. So luckily, Malfoy's out wandering the halls too and lets him in. Now he doesn't know who the heir of Slytherin is, but he does know that the chamber was opened 50 years ago and that it killed somebody. And he is really hoping that this time it kills Hermione. Sweet kid.
Now, Draco, play nicely.
And he might actually get his wish, because when they turned into Crabbe and Goyle, she turned herself into a cat and ends up having to go to the hospital.
Mrs. Norris?
So when Ron and Harry are heading back to their room, they see that the stairs are flooded because somebody threw a book at Moaning Myrtle, and she turned on all the faucets because she was sad.
She's a little sensitive.
Turns out that the book is a diary by this kid Tom Riddle, who can apparently still talk to Harry through it. He's shown what happened 50 years ago when the monster was last released. He also sees Dumbledore, who he apparently cannot recognize without his glasses.
Professor Dumbledore.
He finds out that Hagrid had a pet spider, and Tom arrested him for it.
I don't like spiders.
But if Hagrid was a bad guy back then, why would they hire him?
They wouldn't. It's just a stupid diversion that you'd be pretty stupid if you actually fell for.
Books can be misleading.
You wrote them.
We then find out that Hermione's been petrified, so the teachers decide to put up some rules to protect the students because somebody we actually give a shit about got hurt.
These new rules will be put into effect immediately.
So of course, Harry and Ron immediately break the rules and sneak off to go see Hagrid, but they're interrupted by Dumbledore and the Minister of Magic.
What are you doing here? Get out of my house!
Lucius Malfoy also shows up and fires Dumbledore. So Dumbledore acts like he doesn't know Harry and Ron are there and lets them know that he wants to help them.
Oh no! The invisibility booster must be faulty.
And as Hagrid's being arrested, he tells him to follow the spiders.
Dodgy place. Don't want no one to see you there. People would think you were up to no good.
So they bravely follow him into the dark forest. They end up in a giant spider cave, where Spider tells him that Hagrid didn't do it, and that he knows what the monster is, but can't tell him. But he does tell him that the person was killed in the bathroom.
You're welcome to share my toilet.
Then after info dumping, all the spiders try to eat him.
Strange. I've never seen spiders act like that.
And just before they're attacked, the flying car that's apparently been driving around the forest all semester with the same tank of gas pulls up and gets them out of there. And apparently the self-driving car can only save them once because when the spiders show back up, Ron has to drive now.
Are you going somewhere?
And since the spiders didn't give them any real answers, they go visit Hermione in the hospital to complain that she's not there to figure anything out. And that's when they notice there's a piece of paper in her hand that conveniently has all the answers written on it. She found out that the monster is a basilisk, and it's traveling through the sewer.
It's not much, but it's home.
This creature has the ability to kill anyone who looks at it directly in the eyes, but conveniently, nobody has.
It's just strange.
So they run to tell the professors, but end up overhearing them say that Ron's sister's been taken.
Who cares?
Then Lockhart says that he's going to go get some stuff and go rescue her. And instead of Ron and Harry walking up and telling all of them what they just found out, they follow Lockhart into his office and find out that he's the world's quickest packer. And even though they think he sucks, they were still relying on him to save Ginny, only to find out he just took credit for shit other people did.
No one figured out he was lying?
Actually, a lot of people knew he was a fraud, but since his actual talent is making people believe what he wants, he just put some alternative facts in their head. Now a bunch of morons believe he's awesome because the people who actually did those things said he was.
For full details, see my published works.
So they take him to Moaning Myrtle, at which point she helps them figure out how to open the chamber. And this should have been really easy to find because it's a sink that has no plumbing. So if they would have just called a plumber in the last century, they would have found it. Apparently, the witches of Hogwarts don't wash their hands.
It's disgusting.
But why didn't they get some of the other professors to help them?
2 reasons. 1, there's no way the professors would let them go into the chamber. They would just send them back to the dorms. And 2, they would probably frown on students threatening a professor.
Do you have any idea how serious this is?
So once they realize how big this snake is, Lockhart faints, and Ron talks shit about him.
Heart of a lion, this one.
Like he's got room to talk.
Head into the dark forest. Harry, I don't like this at all. Harry!
What?
But Lockhart pulled a sneaky, and only pretended to faint, so he takes Ron's wand and tries to erase their memory so he can run away. But this backfires because Ron never got another wand, and apparently Scotch tape doesn't help.
That wand needs replacing, Mr. Weasley.
But him doing the spell causes a cave-in, and Harry gets separated from him. And it's a good thing that Harry got trapped on the side that he did, because you need to be able to speak Parseltongue to open the door.
You're a parcel mouth. Why didn't you tell us?
I'm a what?
Inside, he finds Ginny.
Oh, Ginny, please don't be dead.
He then sees Tom Riddle's memory ghost, who tells him that he put a spell on Ginny so she would write the messages and open the door. And now, he's sucking the life out of her so he can be a real boy again. He steals Harry's wand that he stupidly threw away while checking on Ginny, and reveals that he's the younger version of Voldemort, a name he chose because it's an anagram of his real name, sort of.
You're Voldemort.
He chose his own nickname? What a loser.
I fashioned myself a new name. A name I knew wizards everywhere would one day fear to speak.
Yeah, it's really ridiculous that all these super powerful wizards are basically afraid of some dork who's cosplaying as a Dark Lord. But he's the heir of Slytherin, and he wanted to complete his work of destroying all the Mudbloods and Half-Bloods. Which, he is too.
You didn't think I was going to keep my filthy Muggle father's name.
So I'm not really sure how he can control the thing that's supposed to kill him.
You'll find I can be very persuasive.
The heir of Slytherin, who only wanted purebloods, isn't a pureblood? Isn't that like someone who's half Jewish running the Nazis?
Yeah, but he thinks he's one of the good ones, so it's fine. But when he's bragging about how awesome he is, he insults Dumbledore, and Harry tells him that he sucks and Dumbledore's awesome.
This might not be the time to talk shit. I mean, how is a unarmed second-year wizard supposed to fight Magic Hitler and his giant attack snake?
Oh, because he said nice things about Dumbledore, his bird brings him the stinky old hat, and then when Tom releases the basilisk, Fox pecks his eyes out.
Your bird may have blinded the basilisk, but it can still hear you.
So now I can't kill or petrify him, but
I know if you move, because I have the ear of a snake.
It also apparently can't smell very good either. So Harry gets back to Ginny, who he sees is clinging on to life, but he also sees that the Phoenix brought him a sword in the hat.
You won't be needing it.
So he uses it to fight the snake, but gets bit in the process. So he takes the broken tooth out of his arm and stabs a diary, which stabs Tom, and he dies.
Funny, the damage a silly little book can do, especially in the hands of a silly little girl.
This also brings Ginny back, and then Fox flies back over and cries on Harry, healing him. So now Harry can get Ginny out of there. The Phoenix is also strong enough to fly all of them out of the bathroom pit. So apparently Dumbledore was reinstated while they were in the chamber and lets them know that they won't get in any trouble for breaking a bunch of rules again because Harry was fanboying for him. He then tells him that he thinks that Voldemort... You know what? Fuck that. I really don't like that a bunch of powerful wizards are afraid of a guy whose real name is Tom. So I'm just gonna call him that.
You must be very brave to mention his name. Or very foolish.
Anyway, Dumbledore tells him that he thinks that Tom transferred a bunch of his powers to him when he tried to kill him as a baby.
He was nothing more than a murderer.
So seeing the hat again made Harry wonder why he got put into Gryffindor. So Dumbledore hands him the sword that he used to kill the basilisk to find out that it was the sword of Godric Gryffindor, which he picks up by the bloody sharp end.
It's my nephew. He's very disturbed.
So Lucius Malfoy shows up with Dobby looking for answers. And Dumbledore tells him that he knows he threatened the other people who signed the petition to suspend him.
Oh, he's gonna get in a lot of trouble.
No, it seems that Dumbledore doesn't believe in holding anybody accountable for their actions.
There is sufficient evidence to have you both expelled.
He just likes letting them know that he knows that they did it. But it still pisses him off that Dumbledore's back, so he beats Dobby. So Harry gives him Tom's diary as a present, because he figured out that he's the one who gave it to Ginny. And because he's a lazy turd, he hands the diary to Dobby to carry, but Harry put a sock in it.
Dobby can only be freed if his master presents him with clothes.
Now I refuse to believe that this guy who wears pretty bows in his hair has never made his slave do his laundry, but this loophole makes Lucius want to curse a child. So Dobby stops him, but I'm not sure why he didn't do more than this piddly-ass little spell. I mean, this is years of pent-up aggression. You'd think he would have done more.
It is difficult, sir. Dobby wonders where to begin.
So it just so happens that those screaming plants that they were playing with at the beginning of the story are the exact same ones that they need to save the petrified students.
Convenient.
They had to let them grow to maturity before they could murder the very alive plants in order to cure them.
It was horrible.
They also released Hagrid from prison, and Ron gets worried.
If Hagrid ever gets out of Azkaban, I'll kill him.
I'd best be looking after yourself.
You mark my words, there'll be killings next.
Once they knew how much Tom hated muggles and how evil he was, why didn't they figure out that it was him that opened the chamber in the first place?
That was so many years ago, they probably didn't remember.
Spooky how the time flies when one's having fun.
But given that the ghost of the girl who was killed 50 years ago still lives in the castle, and we know of at least 2 people from back then who are still at Hogwarts, you gotta wonder why they never asked her any follow-up questions.
Don't ask me.
No more questions. Don't ask any more questions.
Bet you loved that, didn't you, Potter?
He had no idea that he would in fact be leaving with my entire collected works, free of charge.
But I haven't had any messages from any of my friends.
Bit annoying, really. Who'd want to be friends with you?
Give me those. Now.
I'm warning you.
You see? It's quite easy, dear. Don't be afraid. Come on.
It's over. It's just a memory.
The adventure ends here.